Tamatha Paul.
Tēnā koe te māngai. My question is to the Minister of Police and asks, does he stand by his statement that he doesn't, quote, think there is systemic bias in the police at all, end quote? And if so, how does he explain findings released by the police that being Māori makes you 11% more likely to be prosecuted compared to Pākehā for the same offence?
I do not believe that there is systemic racism or bias in the New Zealand Police. It is not for me to explain the report she mentions. However, for the member's benefit, I draw her attention to one of the conclusions of the authors of the report, which was that this is not conclusive evidence of conscious or unconscious bias against males or Maori. The member should also note that according to the New Zealand Crime and Victims Survey, in 2023, Maori adults were almost 60% more likely to experience violent crime than the national average and more than twice as likely to be highly victimised.
Supplementary. If systemic bias or systemic racism doesn't exist within the police, then why were the police systematically stopping rangatahi Māori and taking tens of thousands of illegal photos of them?
Well, I'm just going to restate for the member that we have got a world-class police service. Men and women in our community that do an outstanding job, that stand up every day to protect the communities that they live in and that they serve. And I don't believe or accept for 1 minute that there is systemic violence and racism or bias in our police service. And again, that report is the Commissioner's report and he can speak to it.
Can the Ministers please explain what systemic bias is?
Well, systemic bias is bias that's systemic.
Supplementary.
One more here.
How does he explain the fact that Māori are more likely to be exposed to police intervention throughout their life than non-Māori?
The police do not get to choose who they deal with in terms of offending. Society decides that. I'm extremely proud of our police service. I think that they do the best. I think they do the best to respond to what they're currently operating in very difficult circumstances because they're trying to get on a massive growth of violent crime in our country. And in my view, there is not systemic bias or racism in our police. To suggest that there is systemic bias and racism in our police, I completely reject that.
Does the Minister agree that people who commit crimes should face the consequences of their actions regardless of their ethnicity? And if so, what actions has this government taken to ensure that criminals face the consequences of their crimes?
Yes, Mr Speaker, yes, I do agree with that. The government is working extremely hard to restore law and order and make sure that consequences match the seriousness of the offending. I'm pleased to see that the Minister is strengthening firearm prohibition orders to ensure police have more powers to get guns out of the hands of gang members and bringing back 3 strikes. I'd also highlight the sentencing reforms being championed by the Minister of Justice.
Supplementary. Why is he refusing to acknowledge the findings of the report when the Police Commissioner himself has accepted the findings and has committed to building that trust in the communities?
Well, I think the member just answered her own question. This was a report that was commissioned several years ago. It is the Commissioner's report. It's not my report, and it's for the Commissioner to speak to.